How you feel about the Lamborghini Huracan is largely determined by your mental age. The poster-hanging 12-year-old within all of us will look at it and say, wow! But the sober, rational adult will look at it and say, well, it's just an overpriced Audi R8 in a Countach body kit. Also, it's so low to the ground it scrapes on shadows, and it rides like an epileptic horse. Plus, this paint, it's so obnoxious they might as well call the color Kanye. But that 12-year-old might turn 13 and say, dude, there's a 610 horsepower, naturally aspirated V10 mounted right behind your head, connected to a lightning-quick dual-clutch transmission and all-wheel drive grip. How old am I, mentally? You're gonna find out in about 20 seconds. Yeah, so I'm a middle-aged man living out my 12-year-old fantasy. This car, the Huracan. Oh man, okay, what do we talk about? Looks! There isn't a bad angle. I've been staring at this thing for a week and it works, it just works. It's actually a nice homage to a lot of great Lambos from the past. The front, clearly you see the Countach, especially there's these triangular sections on the hood. The Mura, especially from the rear. Now, if you look at the rear of a Mura, and I try and do that once a week, you will notice they kind of took the rear end of a Mura and flipped it upside down, and that's the rear of the Huracan. It just works. I've had a Lamborghini hanging on a wall where I've lived since I was about 11, and much to my wife's chagrin, that's still true. I would get a poster of this. I would get a Huracan poster. Just knockout design, knockout design. Speaking of knockouts, we got to talk about performance. The Huracan can hit 60 miles an hour in 2.8 seconds. Extremely quick for a naturally aspirated car. This Lamborghini's quarter-mile time is ridiculous. 10.6 seconds at 132.8 miles per hour. That quarter-mile time means not only is this faster than a GTR, a Nismo GTR, this is the quickest accelerating naturally aspirated car we've ever tested. In fact, the only cars we've ever tested that are quicker than the Huracan are the Bugatti Veyron, the McLaren P1, and the Porsche 918. And all those start over $1 million. And that's just straight line. This thing corners too. It has a max lateral acceleration of 1.02 Gs. And the Huracan can run around our figure eight in 23 seconds flat with a remarkable average G of 0.98. So numbers are one thing, and again, you know, P0s are not the most aggressive tires we could have had on the car. But what I noticed driving this thing around the figure eight is, it is by far the most controllable car I've ever figure eighted. It'll just do whatever you want. My technique, you know, I would come in hot, trail brake, and then I would sort of rotate the car a little bit, and then one steering angle and just right foot to steer the car through. And then whap it on the way out and oversteer, tire smoke. Unbelievable. You know, Anthony, my camera guy right here, this guy can bench press an Audi, but I had him squealing like a little girl. The thing is just, it's so aggressive. It's just an amazing vehicle. So think about it. Ferrari 488, turbos. McLaren's, turbos. Huracan, natural aspiration. That makes this the last man standing. It's the last naturally aspirated entry-level supercar you can buy. And I applaud Lamborghini for keeping it that way. Awesome. And the sound? I mean, come on. Nothing beats natural aspiration. Not only in terms of sound, and again, V10 is not the most melodious engine, but I love this one. But in terms of revving and then degrading, and that's part of the reason why it's so controllable, is when you do come off the throttle, revs drop, and then you get real engine braking, and it's useful, and you can use that to control the car. What was happening when I was driving the Huracan around earlier in the week, the part of my brain that tingles when I'm in something really special, it was twitching. And I'm talking about, what happens when you drive cars like the Ferrari 458 Italia or the Pagani Huayra, and two of the most incredible machines I've ever driven. Well, you know what? Huracan is just as good, if not better. I mean, this is the total package. This is a supercar. All right, so Randy, brought you out to Big Willow with Kermit the Lambo here because I've been driving this car for a week and I'm very impressed with it. More so than most other cars I've ever driven.
You've driven a lot of cars, John.
I've driven a lot, but I'm worried that my opinion of it is too high. So I want a pro driver to tell me I'm crazy. It's not that good.
Look at that thing put power down.
Yeah.
It feels light to me. You said it's 3,400 pounds, right?
I think 3,409. Yeah.
It feels like 2,500 pounds. It feels light. Even though it has stability, it is not understeering. It's just a balanced car. I'm all about the balance.
If you think about like a GTR, which is again a brutal car, fast, capable, but it's all-wheel drive.
It has capabilities and more of a GTR, but it adds all this fun and this thrill and this driving involvement that the GTR does not. We're going to go up this hill.
Yeah, just digs.
Every other car we drive here gets all sideways right there on the exit of left-hand turn 3.
Including the 918, which is all-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's true.
To me, the Huracan is a lot like the Hellcat, and here's why.
Yeah.
My whole life, I've been staring at pictures of muscle cars and dreaming that they will actually be as good as they look, right? They will be really fast, and the brakes will be good, and they'll turn. And muscle cars generally stink.
Right, and then you drive a 65 Mustang GT.
Yeah.
And it's horrible.
And we've both driven a Countach.
Horrible.
It's the worst car I've ever driven. It's still my favorite car, but it's a horrible car to drive.
So true.
And this one, though, the Huracan, it's about as good looking as a mid-engine car can get.
It answers the supercar promise. It really is super. It doesn't just look super, it drives super. Look at that one-handed into the corner, hard on the gas. I'm talking with my hands. This was not the Lamborghini way in the year before. Oh no, it was white knuckle the whole time.
I remember I was talking with Valentino Balboni about the Countach, and I remember we were just discussing various aspects of the car, and he got to the brakes, and he makes the sign of the cross. But, you know, I mean, this car's not like that.
It's a modern car that's setting a new standard, I think, for handling.
I agree.
There is a weak point, though.
Yeah.
And maybe because the rest of the car is so good, it makes it more obvious. It's the braking. The ABS is not as sophisticated as the best other cars that we've tried. For instance, the good old Corvette Z06.
Yeah, Z06,
and
right.
the Z28, the humble Camaro Z28. This car's ABS allows quite a bit of lockup. It doesn't like being pushed too hard, the ABS. That's where there's room for improvement on the Huracan, is in the brakes.
But that's it.
That's it. Lamborghini was always kind of a wannabe when it came to driving. They looked cool. They were a little more exotic than Ferraris.
Sure.
But they just didn't drive like a good Ferrari.
Right.
Well, now the gauntlet has been thrown.
All right, we're about to run out of gas, so we should probably haul her in. While we were refueling, we decided to take a look at the tires, and surprise, surprise, they were pretty much shot. Off came the factory P0s, on went a non-factory set of Trofeo Rs. Hey, blame the Lamborghini engineers, they brought them. Huracan ran around Big Willow's 2.4 mile track in 1 minute 25.17 seconds, making it quicker than any production car we've ever tested except for one, the Porsche 918 Spider. When Ferruccio Lamborghini founded his car company, the promise was that his cars would be better than Ferraris. It took him 52 years, but Lambo finally did it.
Boy, I get high. I'm high when I get out of the car. I'm high. I've got, what are those drugs that come out? Adrenaline? Pheromones?
Something's coming out.
Proprioceptors are getting tickled.
Right.
It just makes me feel that good to drive this car hard. Oh yeah. It's better than any Ferrari I've ever driven. And the best Ferrari I ever drove is a 458. I've driven a lot of Ferraris too. I've driven most of them. We're glowing so ebulliently about this car that it sounds like we're trying to sell them, right? They've leapfrogged Ferrari here for a moment. We'll see if Ferrari can outdo this car with its next generation.
If Ferrari ever gives us another car, which is a whole other story.